I'm Terry David Mulligan. It's day 2 of our Okanagan Reconnect. Josie's up there. Wet. Went to 3 Mile Beach. We are today at Hillside Cellars. One of the original wineries that started this whole boom in on the Naramata Bench. And we're going to be talking to, I just saw him go by, Jay Drysdale from Bella. We're going to talk to Ned, Bell, and Emily from Naramata Inn. Who else is coming? Daydreamer, Marcus. There's other people coming. We're just going to get ready to talk. Hope you enjoy this. Hey, it's Jay Drysdale from Bella Wines, and some Bella Wines. They're there, right? And we're going to talk about them in a second, especially that one. But this is Jay on full frame. We're doing this on video as well. All right, we need we need an update on all things Bella over the last, say, year.
It's been, well, actually, to start off, this was our 10-year anniversary this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I know. It seems, I think when time goes by that fast, you must consider it a good thing. So, no, it's been good. I mean, I'm not going to complain about the heat and the smoke because I know enough people are already doing that. So, but it's just been a good year. Yeah.
You're probably pretty good at hunkering down.
Yeah, no, I mean, having the farm, you know, the day-to-day life just doesn't change. You know, the animals still need to be fed. Side note, just had my second batch of baby chicks hatch at the farm this week, so it's only ever happened this year for me, and I'm just so tickled by that.
And the role of the chickens.
Yeah. Oh, chickens help me in the vineyard, so yeah, they're helping with bugs and fertilizers, and same with the ducks. They're just keeping bug counts down, and yeah, it's... And
somebody ventured yesterday in an interview, which I can credit who it was. They said that when the chickens started to look longingly at the fruit, they decided to pen them up because they knew that the fruit was ready.
Totally. My solution was I re-trellised all of our vines to about 42 inches, and they can't jump that high for the fruit. So I learned the hard way the first year, but now everything's re-trellised, and yeah.
It comes to you because you're my first Naramatian to talk to in this session about how the bench is doing. I know that there was somebody wanted to do like a subdivision up above, and there, you can see that there's lust and greed going on around you. How's it going?
Well, I mean, it's on one hand I can't what's the word, like, I can't fault anyone because we do, I feel, live in one of the most beautiful places in the world, so I can't fault anyone for wanting to be here. I think it's kind of woke the community up as far as what is some of our strategic planning moving forward for the next 20 years, and I mean, it's been a while since I think that's been done, and I think there's going to be a lot more voices and that, you know, making sounds as we move forward on all of our infrastructure. I mean, we're going through water issues right now, and that as well, and we're you know, starting to talk about sewage and sewer issues here in our community as well. So I think it's all in good step that we need some forward thinking.
Jay, you don't have to answer this, and I can cut it out if you wish, but I'm kind of dying to know. I can tell, just little gorpy old me, I can tell where the big money offshore purchases have been made. They're kind of gaudy, and they're, hey, look at us kind of thing. Do we have a problem?
I don't know. I mean, I think consumers, you know, are the end factor on all that, and if that's the goal in your holiday to visit a fancy Porsche looking like dealership, then power to you. But you know, there's also a really good handful of good folk that are, you know, just trying to make good, hard, honest working wine. And
what happened to the judging the winery on what's in the bottle?
Well, that's what I wish it would come down to more, and then I also wish it would relay not just what's in the bottle, but what it took to get in that bottle. Yeah. Like at what cost to the environment, what cost to human health, and all that. And I think as people are now becoming more aware of not just food from a scarcity perspective, but also just, you know, we need to be in better health if we're going to fight conditions, whether it be smoke or pandemic or what have you, that I think that's, you know, we're a little more aware of what we're eating and drinking, and we want to know. And the fact that the wine industry still has no transparency on what goes inside a bottle still boggles my mind too.
In those 10 years, Jay, how long did it take you to finally settle in that you had everything in balance, and this was the winery and the vineyard that was going to be for the next 10 years?
I'll let you know in 10 years. No, it does take a lot longer to see the fruits of your efforts. And we're starting to see some of those changes now, just even with the way we farm and try not to use toxic chemicals and that we're seeing those changes slowly. But I think more importantly, it's caused us to slow down and just pay more attention to Mother Nature's rhythms and systems, so that, you know, we're so quick to change the DNA of something, but we're you know, not slow enough to really encompass a whole ecosystem and how we're affecting a lot more other things, you know, related to the environment and everything else that is effective. And I think that's a slower approach we need to take and look at more than anything. So.
And how about us, the wine fan, the consumer? Are we caring more? Are we asking those questions?
Not enough yet.
Well, boy.
Yeah, but it is coming. I mean, and we are. I think BC has never seen such good wines in its entire lifetime, you know, as we have today. And that's where I'm more excited where the next, you know, 5 years is going to be. And I think, you know, it is just a matter of selection over time, and the good wines will always rise to the top, and the rest will either figure it out or buy their way. And
you want the big question? How did we get better?
I honestly think it's just time understanding our land, our fruit, you know, being comfortable in our winemaking styles. Like, we're still experimenting. I mean,
we're still learning.
We're still learning. I mean, you know, we copied our neighbors all over the world as to how to do things, and now I think it's BC's time to find our true voice of what it truly means to make BC wine that isn't trying to be like Napa or Bordeaux or Germany or wherever the region, but it's to be loud and proud of, this is BC, this is our quirkiness, and we're standing 110% behind it.
He's Jay Drysdale, a part of the huge management cooperative that runs Bella Winery, I said I said in advance, could everybody bring a red and a white? And of course Jay shows up with none of the above, because that's the way Bella is, and that's why he's sitting here, and that's why he's the first interview. Which way, if we were tasting in order, which way would you go?
I always do older first, that's just me, which would be our little reserve fellow. And this one actually, you know, a little shout out to Michael Barche, but this came from his vineyard site down in Oliver back in 2014. This guy spent like 4.5 years with Lees in the bottle, and it's just, you know, it's our little rendition of showing that we can make sort of that champagne caliber wine. And please don't get me started about the Russian labeling about champagne and all that, because the fact that Champagne backed off of Russia for calling their stuff sparkling wine and not champagne, and has pushed back against the rest of the world, and I'm happy to call this Naramata champagne now. And yeah, we'll see where it goes. So
can't wait for the trial. And what's the price point of that?
This guy is about $65 and only available in our wine club. We're dwindling down on a few of our old stocks and that. So
how does one join the wine club?
Oh, just on the website. We do a really easy setup on the spring. We charge once, all the details are there, and we fill you lots of perks. And even this year, almost 3 of our SKUs or products were totally sold out by Wine Club, and the poor public didn't see much of it at all. So it was, it's becoming our way of, I guess, getting the wines you really want is to hop on the Wine Club.
So what's in the stores, he said, knowing?
We are getting down. It is mostly white. I've got one little sparkling red left that's just my little troublemaker this year, and it's so hard to disgorge that I'm really procrastinating more than anything, because I just hate doing it. It's so physically, takes so much out of me physically to disgorge this that I only do a bit at a time. So that's pretty much our last Gamay left. And
okay, there's never enough Gamay.
I know.
And I quoted that yesterday. I said to Christine Coletta, there's never enough Gamay.
No.
Jay Drysdale. Now, speaking of your bubble, when we both, Meg and I, got our second shots, Easter Sunday, we opened up our big bottle of Bella Bubble Rosé and cleaned it out.
Thank you so much.
Well, it was going to be for a special occasion. I figured that was pretty good.
That is a
saving
good
your
one.
life.
Yeah, exactly. That's a perfect time.
Have you had visitors?
Yeah, we've still been doing tours on the weekend. We do just 5 tours a day, about 10 people per tour. And
what were the safety concerns, and what did it say at the front door?
Basically, we keep everything outside and keep everyone safe and distanced, and just do everything outside now. We don't do any indoors. We don't have a tasting room anymore, and we just conduct all our business outside.
Masks on, masks off?
Because we're outside, it's mask off. So yeah, and yeah, we want you to breathe in our biome. I mean, we work hard to kind of build up the diversity and good bacteria that we have, and we want people to breathe in that to diversify their own health and that as well. So
I thought just intake was really important for life itself.
I agree, and I think just being in all the different...
Do I have to choose my air?
No, but I think the diversity of biomes is just a healthier thing more than anything, and you feel it when you come in and out of cities and, you know, get back home. You feel that difference, and that's what I think people need to appreciate here.
Jay Drysdale, Bella Wines. Now, Jay, what's that second bottle? Just slide that into the shot.
A fun little... this is our estate Chardonnay from last year, and yeah, just no chemicals, and kept really honest, and really just trying to make a wine that really defines a sense of place. And our vineyards are still young, being under 10 years old, so you know, I still think they're going through some growing pains, but yeah, it's just it's our estate Chard. So
your descriptors are getting more and more interesting. The 2020 Chardonnay, ancestral sparkling wine, hold that thought, sourced from Bella Estate Vineyard, Naramata, a village, 415 bottles, ingredients, grapes, and like that, on Gulch Road, and it's 11.4. So ancestral, and yes, ancestral.
Yeah, and for us, we started about 3 years ago and started putting all ingredients on labels, and you know, if I do need to add an organic nutrient or something like that to the wine, then it's easy enough to put on. If I add sulfur to the wine, I'll put on usually how many parts per million I've added, and just really trying to keep it transparent so consumers have the knowledge at their fingertips of what they're buying and what they're liking or disliking, and going from there. So
I know that when you first started doing natural wines, you and His Majesty at Walker, you had to explain what it was and how it could change things. Have we become now consumers who are looking for natural wines?
Huge. It is a big part. It's always the first ones for us that sell out. But even my definition of natural has grown over the years too, and now today, you know, my focus is on farming. I mean, I think natural wine is about taking care of the soil more than anything else. I mean, if you have good grapes, you shouldn't have to do much in the winery anyways. So for me, natural wine is really about farming in a manner that leaves our soils in better health than when we took them over.
Can I give you the big question now?
Please.
What are we left with after all this fire, pestilence, locusts, pandemics, multiple layers of pandemics, all of the above? What are we left with 2021 moving forward?
If we change the way we farm, we'll change our earth. It's that simple. If we can put our nutrition back in our soil, the green will come back, the pollution will go away, the fires will slow down, if we can just change the way we farm.
Can you do it in your lifetime?
I'm going to try.
I wish I was around to do that interview. That's fantastic. And by the way, in terms of releases, where can we find what's left?
In fact, some of the stores, little stores in Vancouver and Victoria are probably may even have more stock than I do, because I do allocations for each, meaning I'll never cut one side off to feed the other. Yeah. So if I give commercial a certain amount, commercial gets that amount. So there is chances, if you visit some of the small little boutique wine stores in your neighborhood, chances are they've got more stock than I do.
There's a restaurant in Lanceville called Camas, C-A-M-A-S.
Yep.
And they had a deal where they did to survive. They had Friday takeout dinners ready to go. We found ourselves ordering every Friday, only because Bella Wine Bubble came with the dinner. We could order a bottle of pink and take it home. And we laughed at each other and said, are we buying it for the wine or the food?
Yeah.
It's a combination of both, but I was really happy to be drinking Bella this summer.
No, it was one of the good things the government did is allow restaurants to do takeout and even offer wine sales. I think that was a big game changer, and I'm excited to see where it's going to go and develop.
Last question, Jay. Going forward, what are there any releases we can watch between here and Christmas?
I am going to have a couple little small batch Gamma Ancestrals probably between now and Christmas, and then I also am contemplating even doing more of a Piquette Nouveau maybe this year and getting it released in the same year, and that because Piquette's just become such a great tool to use up byproduct, and instead of it going to the compost, to be able to have it make a secondary product that's in demand and sells out before my other stuff, I think is kind of a good indicator. So I'm debating about getting it out while it's still fresh and vibrant and see how that goes.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you so much, Terry.
Not too much, so
Hi, you guys.
Hello.
I've seen you together before.
you have
Yeah.
Take us back to that room.
to you at the Four Seasons.
Yeah, like a crazy room.
Oh my gosh! I mean, that was a spectacular experience. It was an incredible restaurant that we both really swung for the fences, and M's wine program there that really spoke to the seafood identity, and of course, I mean, there's just so much talent that we got to work with there.
I know it influenced you because you kept saying, check out the wine list, check out the wine list, check out the wine list. And
Yeah.
I was asking, all I wanted was clam chowder.
Your BC Ferries.
That's it. Give me your pitch to work at Naramata Inn. What was the pitch like?
We're getting the band back together. It was that simple.
It was basically like, we bought the inn. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's go.
Were you ready to move?
I was already here.
Oh, okay, that's
I
right.
had made the move, yes. Because I'm from the Okanagan originally.
Yep.
So I'd been up here for about 3 years already. And yeah, it was perfect timing, really, apart from the pandemic starting.
How different then, because you're in Vancouver, you're downtown Vancouver, you're cooking downtown, you're recommending and serving wines downtown Vancouver. Now you're here. What does it add pressure? Does it when you see the things around you, the wines being made around you, what does it change in your approach to the wines that you recommend?
Well, I think for starters, people are coming to Naramata, coming to a wine region. I think the appetite for local is just that much stronger. At the Four Seasons, we had a much more robust international component to our wine program. At the time, and maybe it's changed now, but at the time it seemed like you had to really kind of champion and push the BC wines in front of people and encourage participation in that. I think that's changing just in our BC wine culture having improved, and so many great somms in the city championing the region. But here, people are coming to drink these wines, and so you're not having to push them towards that at all.
And the natural question for me, Ned, is which came first, the chicken or the egg? Did you create your menu because that's what you wanted to cook, or what because you were going to pair with those wines?
Well, I think actually one of the great things about working with Emily is that we've always had a good understanding that the wine is already in the bottle and the food can be adapted to the wine. So, that's kind of always been one of our secret sauces, I guess, is that I fully appreciate Em's going to put really cool things on the list, and she's going to, some of the things she's doing are just knock your socks off cool and outside of the box creative. I had a clear identity of what I wanted the food to be. I didn't want to cook any of my old signature dishes.
No.
I wanted to come here and literally
Fresh start,
wipe the slate clean, and really cook of this place. Hyper seasonal, hyper local. We don't use lemons and limes. We don't use, any tropical fruit. We don't use any global flavors. We use things from this place exclusively. And that's been a challenge. It's been rewarding. It's been an education for our staff, for myself, for our cooks, for our you know, for Stacy and Minette, our co-chef de cuisines, because, you know, I mean, I was talking to a chef, a really premium chef in Vancouver, and we were going to do a collab together last year, and I said, you know, just so you know, you can't use lemons, you can't use limes, you can't use, you know, miso paste or soy sauce or anything like that. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, that's the identity. I want us to be of this place, a true tasted place. And so, you know, M's wine list is, you know, obviously focuses on the best of the region. We do have a pretty great international list now where she gets to flex some muscle and be sort of comparative varietal wise to other wines, you know, or other regions that are famous for a specific varietal. But our food is just our food. It's, you know, it's bold, it's generous, it's delicious, it's all of those things.
We'll get to your food in just a moment. I love the helmet, by the way. I know you're leaving early. But here's the thing. The thinking has always been, at least in my pea brain, if you're going to travel this distance, if you're on the Naramata Bench, why would you order a French or an Australian or Austrian wine to go with these foods? Why not drink where you are and where the food came from?
And I think that 90% of people share that sentimentality. To be honest, the international list from the outset was really just there to feed the winemakers. Who, you know, they drink their own wine and each other's wines all the time, and they need something to draw inspiration from, and many of them are, you know, very, very knowledgeable, curious, wine passionate people who've traveled the world, and so the, you know, the international list is there really just to, you know, say, hey, here's some, you know, rare, usually they're kind of niche things that maybe you won't find anywhere else, but you can try it here, and you know, maybe take a little vacation for those who actually live here. That's kind of what it was there for. And I'd say that, you know, occasionally we get someone who's traveled here and decides to choose from the international list, but usually they're people that have spent, you know, 2 or 3 nights with us,
yeah.
And maybe on the 3rd night or something, they've drank through a bunch of the local offerings, and they're like, hey, let's go for that cool Austrian Gruner Veltliner, that kind of thing.
You have a new menu coming, like tonight.
We do tonight. It's starting. Yeah, I mean, we change our menu a lot. It's a small menu, relatively small, and you know, this past year and a half has been extraordinarily difficult.
Here too, huh?
Yeah, yeah. To staff and to have any level of consistency, and so we haven't changed who we want to be, but we've had to sort of reduce it slightly, in the sense that, you know, the menu only has 4 appetizers and 6 main courses, and they change relatively consistently, but really it's more about seasonal ingredient changes than complete dish changes. You know, right now in the heart of the Okanagan, or in the heart of the South Okanagan and in Naramata, the vegetables and the fruits and the flavors that are being foraged or harvested are changing weekly. And so, you know, we want to be able to really highlight, last week it was apricots, this week it's peaches, you know, we've still got cherries on the menu, next week it'll be plums, you know, like it's sort of that quick. It's the best time to eat here, so one of the things that we've really recognized is building a menu for 10 months of the year, because, you know, we didn't really open, or didn't open for two months in the wintertime, has been an extraordinary experience, because you're changing all the time.
Yeah.
And you don't get things from California. You're not getting, you know, fruits and vegetables from, you know, other places. You're just getting ingredients from here. We extend to a little bit of the coast when it comes to seafood and some of the Fraser Valley, but other than that, that's it.
Actually, I did see that string of with the tweets or messages going back and forth on the internet. You made a salmon statement, and all hell broke loose. It was wild watching the reactions, because everybody has an opinion about our wild fishery, the farm salmon. You're the guy that schooled me. You're the guy that said Lois Lake. Oh, check this out.
Do you want me to start talking about
No,
No, we don't.
No,
Please.
Because
no, I only have a couple of days.
it could go on forever. But I think.
But it is ongoing. That's the deal.
Well, it's interesting. So tonight we actually have Sonia Strobel, the founder of Skipperado, a community-supported fishery that started 12 years ago. She's coming to speak to our team at 4:30. I want to eat with Mother Nature.
Yeah.
Whether it's seafood, whether it's lakes, oceans,
All right.
rivers, soil systems, I want to eat with Mother Nature. And if Mother Nature gives us abundance of a thing, I want to celebrate that thing. And arguably, well, not arguably, wild salmon is in trouble, climate change, overfishing, etc. And so does that mean we should stop eating it? No, but I've decided to hit pause temporarily.
Okay, that's a big deal. All right, Em, you have stashed 2 bottles down there. What did you bring?
So I brought a couple things. One of the things that I've been really enjoying while working in this region, running a wine program for my first time, is sort of uncovering some of these little gems that there seems to be this almost subculture of
Yes.
young winemakers, very forward-thinking, holistic in their methods, and making really small amounts of some really, really beautiful wines that are
Bring that
basically
right up front.
they're pretty much selling out just kind of through their own online networks and to maybe a handful of restaurants.
Okay, the only thing that you can recognize right there is 2020. Who is it? What is it?
Okay, so I'm just going to hold it so that we can see the back label as well. So this is called LST Projects, and this is Alyssa Hubert. She is the head cider maker over at Creek and Gully.
Yep.
And wonderful human, Naramata local, and someone who's become very much a friend of the inn. And she also happens to be a very talented winemaker. She's just gifted when it comes to the art of all things fermentation. And this is the first time she's launched this line of wines. There's a few ciders that she's made as well. This is a still Chardonnay. Alyssa's sort of her story behind the name is it's a play on some family initials, LST, but she liked the way, hyphenating out almost the A in what would be last.
Yeah.
So last projects, the idea is that as a small producer, she only made 55 cases of this wine. When you don't own your own land, you don't know which fruit you're going to have access to.
And you have to adapt.
Year after year, you have to adapt. So the idea is that this wine may only ever exist once. Last projects, and she names all of her wines after books or poetry. And she's just an incredibly creative person, and this Chardonnay is one that...
Well, it would be an interesting Chardonnay just based on the look of it
Yeah.
and what it's saying from the outside.
Yeah, so just a small, she got these grapes from a vineyard not far from Poplar Grove, and her philosophy is just sort of let the fruit do what it will do, and she gently kind of guides it along, but she uses ambient ferment. It's unfined, unfiltered.
How are we going to find this?
Unfortunately,
Come to the
it's-
Naramata Inn.
yeah,
Only at the Naramata Inn,
it's
yeah.
sold out. She was selling it out of Creek and Gully. I think the last bottles have been swiped up. We do have an allocation.
What do you
fee.
pair with it?
Ned's halibut. This is a wine that's extremely food versatile. I think it's a beautiful seafood wine. It's very fresh. It's very kind of light on its feet as far as Chardonnay goes.
And what's the second one?
And the second one. So this is another example of one of these small projects, and I'm just having so much fun introducing people to these beautiful wines. They're just so artful from their label, but also with what's inside the bottle. And
Does that say Jocko?
it says Jocko. So this is Else Wines, another small project. This is Kelsey Raffiange of
yes.
Echo Bay.
Oh, yes.
So this is her experimental sort of side label, and Kelsey is again just a young, really creative woman, and very, very highly accomplished as well in terms of her technical education, graduated from Lincoln, has made wine in New Zealand,
Yeah.
Australia, and California, came back to the family farm in OK Falls. It's been in their family since the 60s. So Echo Bay is produced there. This is, I've been really loving these light chilled reds. And this is a Cabernet Franc that sort of hovers somewhere in between rosé and red. So, I mean, I pair this wine with everything. I love it when I approach a table and they're like, I'm having fish, I'm having duck. That's where I bring in the Jocko.
Cool.
And it's just, people are, they're loving it. It's kind of my go-to summer
I'll have
wine
a
right
jar
now.
of Jocko. Thank you so much.
Jar of Jocko.
Guys, we're going to wrap this up. We've going to be going for 21 minutes.
Sure, of course.
You know,
Yeah.
it wasn't your fault. It was the other chef. What does the rest of the year look like? Because you guys are like at sold out capacity. When is it going to settle down to a new normal, or what's going to happen?
Oh gosh, I mean, I feel like I'm in third gear right now. Like, we're not even close to hitting our stride. We've tried. We've swung for the fences. Certainly, what we're hoping to become over the next number of years is, is busy 10 months of the year, open 7 days a week. We're sold out to, 120 to 150 guests a night for dinner. But that's 5 days a week currently. If I can quickly steal a little bit of time, the biggest challenge our industry is facing right now is finding people.
Yeah.
Finding them, training them,
Yeah.
retaining them. And that's a challenge across
It's the
tourism.
Jeff Van Geest, I Need a Miracle.
Well, it is culinary, but it's also hospitality.
Yeah.
It's wine shop. It's service. It's in the vineyard. It's in the wine cellar. It's everything. And I think we really need to pay people what they're worth, and give them time to have quality of life. I'm a 30 years older guy who is kind of used to working 50, 60 hours a week, but some of these young guys, young people, they don't want to do that. And so I think we have to adjust our industry. We have to start charging more for what we do. I mean, these wines are extraordinary. They need to be paid for. And even Emily's role with the Naramata Inn, I mean, we need to find more talent to support her projects, because we really want to continue to do unique things. I think the industry, the hospitality business in this country and in North America is going through a bit of a renaissance, and I think it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next 5 or 7 years.
We are a living renaissance, all of us. We're kind of going through this together. We'll have to explain this to our children and our grandchildren, how this happened and how we survived it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Now, what are the four mains tonight? Get ready. What are the four mains tonight? Give me the first one.
The first one that you should eat?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so we have a really cool new way that we are serving our seafood. So we actually don't name what fish we have on the menu. We eat with Mother Nature. So we have a wild caught and a responsibly farmed, and then it's explained at the table. So of course,
I'm trying to pair your menu here. Give me.
I see. Well, I would say you have to have the halibut dish. You
Okay,
have to have...
and your automatic, if you were being asked.
Let's go with Cool Shana Chardonnay.
Ooh, good
All
pair.
right. What's your next one?
How about dessert?
Sure.
We have a pretty spectacular local strawberry pavlova right now that's very, very popular.
La Stella Moscato de Soyuz.
Ooh, there you go. See, she's a pro, man. Why do you
Give
think
me
she
an
was my
appetizer.
very first call?
Give me an appetizer.
Steak tartare.
Lightning Rock Blanc de Noirs.
And soup.
We don't serve soup.
Clam chowder. Oyster bisque.
Right now it's too smoky for soup. So we are doing an orchard fruit salad that's quite spectacular with homemade fromage blanc, which is a cheese.
Lunescence Rosé.
There you go.
See, I mean,
It's better than a game show. Thank you both for doing this and for giving your time, because I know you're busy.
Thank
really
you for
good to
having
have
us.
you back in Naramata, Terry. You should come back here. I know.
I'm just single on this trip. Surely I can. Is there a closet I can sleep in?
Yeah, well, we used to have.
Yeah.
We may have some.
Yeah. Thank you both. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
Marcus Ansems, the man at Daydreamer Wine, Naramata Bench, has joined me here at Hillside. Come a little closer. I've got stumpy little arms. When did you come here?
I came here first in 2004.
What brought you?
I was working in Margaret River. We had a consultancy there in Australia, my wife and I, my Canadian wife, and we decided we want to have kids. And my wife's family's from Canada, obviously, so British Columbia seemed like a pretty awesome place to go. So that was our plan.
What was your career at that point?
I'd grown up in Australia. I had some family background in the industry. My uncle was a winemaker with vineyards. I'd studied enology and viticulture in Australia, and then I was a flying winemaker for a bunch of years, and had basically settled down in Western Australia, and then we decided to make the move.
When did you get your master's?
I got my master's about 5 years ago.
Okay. Would you do it again if you knew what was involved?
Oh, that's a really good question. Knowing that I would get the result I did, maybe I would, but it's a really long, arduous, difficult process, and that anyone who's undertaken it successfully or tried to undertake it probably has a better appreciation for how difficult it is.
He's describing being a master of wine. It takes how much of your life?
You have to. Well, it took me 8 years, and
Right.
I think that was on the lower end of the spectrum.
Does it make you a better winemaker?
Yes, it does. Absolutely, it does. Yeah, it gives you what it gives you is it gives you a world perspective on styles and winemaking, and
And the possibilities.
yeah, for sure, absolutely.
Did you inherit a vineyard when you started, or did you plant your own?
We planted our own vineyard. Yeah, with Daydreamer wines, we planted our own.
So you could choose anything you wanted, and that what the soil would give you. What were those original plantings?
Original plantings were Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, and it was really the viticultural nerd in me that chose the site. It's just that perfect southwesterly aspect site, lots of rock, poor fertility, good exposure, all the things that winemakers love and accountants hate.
Well, the accountants would like you to grow Chardonnay and Pinot because they can. There's returns there.
Yeah, I think so. I think Naramata Bench in particular is really an undervalued region for Burgundian styles. Yeah.
What you thought making wine and being a winery owner was, and the reality of it, were they different?
No, not really, because I was lucky enough that I'd had a little bit of an insight into it with my uncle making wine, so I knew how difficult it was, and I knew that it wasn't something.
But your name's on the label.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's the deal. It's your name.
That's in fact, it's one of those things. The signature label was actually a deliberate strategy, because I realised that if I made a bad wine with my name and my family crest on the label, then my family would kick my butt.
You'd kick your butt.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
And how was that first year? Those wines.
The first year, we first did our vintage of Daydreamer in 2013, and those wines are still holding up beautifully well. Yeah.
Do you think people hold you to a higher standard, or do you hold yourself to a higher standard?
Probably a little bit of both. I think that when you become a master of wine, you can become a little bit of a target. So you need to really make sure that you're executing for sure.
What kind of Naramata Bench did you arrive at? Did it feel welcoming and comfortable?
Yeah, it was pretty exciting actually when I first came. So I came to the bench in 2005 actually, and it was exciting. There was lots going on. There was lots of possibilities. There was still lots of orchards at that time. Everyone was experimenting with different things and trying to sort of find out what worked well. So yeah, it was a bench full of possibilities for sure.
All right. So I asked if you could all bring a red and a white to the tasting, and you want to start? Yeah, let's start with the white.
So it's orange.
Yeah.
Does that count?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is our 2020 orange wine. So it's made 100% from Viognier, from the bench. Basically, it's made as a red wine, but with white grapes is the best way to describe it. So it was on skins for around about a month, and then it goes into French oak barrels. It's all natural fermentation, no filtering or stabilizing.
Pour me a taste it, will you? And while you're pouring, it will eventually the Daydreamer sort of disappear from the label, and it will be all with your name on it, or is it going to be a combination of both?
It's a combination of both. So yeah, basically we put what we think is the best styles from a given vintage under the signature label. So if something's very compelling, very interesting, then it will go under the signature label, and then, like I said, I'll have to make sure it's good, otherwise my family will kick my butt.
I immediately think of what I would what I would pair with this Orange 2020, and then my second thought was, why don't you just drink it?
It's funny. It's actually my favorite wine, like at the moment. We have it with olives stuffed with anchovy paste.
Olives and anchovy. Okay, well, there's a lot of strong stuff going in there.
Yeah. Well, it's a big wine. It's one of those mind-bending wines that's very tannic. It's designed to have an enormous amount of tannin, but it's extremely floral at the same time.
How many cases?
We only did about 50 cases of this, so tiny.
How are we going to find it?
We still have a little bit at the winery. Yep.
What's the price point?
It's $50 a bottle.
Get out of here. All right, fine. And I love this. And I knew I would love it.
Yeah.
When you first pour it for people, don't know what orange is, or backing up when you mention the word orange, do they come forward? What's the reaction?
My honestly, I made the wine because I loved the style, and I sort of made it in spite of people. I wasn't sure what the reaction would be, but what turned out is that everyone loves it. It's amazing actually how many. I thought that the style is so confronting because it is so robust, and people are just very interested in it, and they're interested in trying new things and new styles, and it's been like crazy how popular it has been.
Marcus Ansems, the Orange 2020. You got to get a hold of the winery and him. We're going to go on to the red. And I can't see it from behind your spit bucket there, which is a beautiful thing.
So
Amelia, your daughter?
This is my beautiful daughter, yeah. And this
How old is she now?
She's actually 8. She's little princess. She's fantastic. So this is it's predominantly Syrah and has around about 9% Viognier co-fermented. So sort of a traditional Northern Rhone style.
Okay. And do we have to taste like and smell like a Rhone wine out of the bottle, or is it expressive enough that we can say it's Naramation?
Oh, this is excellent. Yeah, I mean this is Okanagan. This is actually Golden Mile Syrah and Naramata Viognier.
That's a great combo.
We pick it. It was done deliberately. I'd worked in the Northern Rhone, and what I found there is that if you were making a co-ferment style, the Viognier tended to ripen about a week before the Syrah. Yeah. So from a sort of physiological perspective, I thought that if I could get that physiology timed more correctly, so ripen on the same day, then we'd potentially be able to make a better wine. And it just so turns out that Naramata Viognier ripens at exactly the same time as Golden Mile Syrah. So we pull it off on the same day, co-ferment it.
Well done. Well done, and worth the research. All right, pour away. While you're pouring, do you have it in you to care or construct a field blend?
Potentially, but I mean, like I was saying, with this particular wine, I think that a field blend would in my experience, perhaps not maximize the potential of the grapes. Just with this particular style, I think that the way that we're doing it, being able to harvest it on the same day, it's really special. Cheers.
Oh, stop talking. Oh, this is your wine. Of course, we've just opened it. It gets better with the opening of the air. It opens up.
It's pretty spicy. It's savory. It's floral. It's I love sort of Syrah styles that are maybe a little more restrained. And
right.
this, yeah.
Here's quick important questions. Did Amelia like it?
She loves it. She's very excited that it's a popular wine, and she tells all her friends about it.
Is she on the label anywhere? Is there a picture of her?
There's no picture,
Okay,
but
no
it's
drawing? Okay,
it's
fine.
her name.
She's
Yeah.
8 years old.
That's right.
And how many cases?
We did about 400 of this.
Price point?
This sits on the shelf in the retail about $40.
Can we find it out there in the stores?
Yep. Yep. The private liquor stores carry it, and good restaurants carry it. So
And there's a wine named after your son?
there is. I've got 2 sons actually. I've got my eldest son is Jasper, and that's our Bordeaux blend, and my middle boy is Tay, and that's our Pinot Noir.
I just want people to know that, because what's lost in the commercialism of wine, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bottles, just walls of bottles. Just remember that in those bottles, in those people's shelves, are lives, are families. This is what they do, and it's not some sort of come by chance. They didn't inherit themselves. This is their work in the bottle, and you have to respect that.
Yep, we started from nothing in Canada. It didn't have huge amounts of money, and we ground our way into making enough money to, actually we when we first started, we didn't even have a property. We just leased a property and leased a facility, and until we got enough brass together to buy our own property, and then we planted it with our own hands, and then eventually built a winery. So this is how we feed our kids.
Marcus, what's coming in the fall?
We have some Chardonnay, we have some Pinot Noir, and we have the new release of the Amelia.
Thank you for this.
You're welcome. My
Have
pleasure.
yourself a great year.
Thank you.
What's left of it?
Well, the sun's shining today, so
All
it's
right.
not too bad.
Thank you, mate.
Righto, cheers.